Co-chair of the Joint Railroad Committee, and we will begin with public comment. Just so you know, Metro North Railroad has the lead this month, so we will begin with our public comment, period.
Good morning, Chair. As a reminder, all speakers have 2 minutes. At 30 seconds, there will be a beep. In the efforts of decorum, we ask all public speakers to direct their comments through the chair and not to do any personal attacks. We also remind them to abide by common courtesy and to keep their comments at 2 minutes so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. This morning we have 9 members of the public pre-registered to speak. Our first speaker will be James Anthony, followed by Christopher Greif.
Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Andrew again. Jason Anthony, the Transit Guru. July is Disability Pride Month, and we want to have this opportunity to thank both railroads to have the first and only agencies to have, let's say, the CARES program in the entire United States of America. Every time that we go to Atlantic Terminal Brooklyn, Penn Station, and Grand Central, we see ambassadors greeting passengers with disabilities and other passengers that require assistance to board trains. It is lovely to board trains very easily. And we want to appreciate President Rob Free and Justin for, let's say, making this possible. If it wasn't for legendary former president of Metro North, Catherine Rinaldi. Because without this possible, boarding a commuter train will be a misery. But let's say this. Disability Pride Month, in its 35th anniversary, will be a celebratory thing here at the MTA. So, wrapping up my comments, let's celebrate with joy. So, that will be my comments this month. Have a 8835, everybody.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Christopher Greif, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Good morning, everyone. Christopher D. Greif. Happy 8835 Disability Pride Month's 10th year. First, I want to thank our chief next to Kalia, who's next to the chief. Want to say thank you, Chief, because on the day when the railroad, Long Island Railroad, wasn't running, you guys were out there assisting and making sure people are getting directions and reminding them this is not a resting area, because we do have to do, I know we have to deal with homeless, but at least you guys are trained in helping them very much. I want to thank them so much on that. And I know we have some echoing, so I know somebody must be my fan club. Just kidding. But the same thing is at stations, and as we're working on stations for the future accessibility, we want to thank everyone, because we're seeing more stations being updated, getting the signages, getting the devices, the elevators, the ramps. We need to continue that for the future of accessibility. Accessibility is important to all of us, for seniors and people with disabilities. Working together as one does help us to move forward. And I want to thank the MTA, Long Island Railroad, and Metro North, and let's continue working forward, work with our fellow advocates in the near future to make more stations accessible, more up-to-dated, and especially the assistant boarding button. That does help us move forward. Thank you, everyone. Happy 8835 Disability Pride Month. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charlton D'Souza, followed by Iris Kelly.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza, President of Passengers United. So we've been getting a lot of complaints about the LIRR monthly tickets. They're too big to put in a wallet or like a pouch. And some people are trying to find creative ways to fold the ticket. But the ticket stock, the paper stock, is horrible. Why are you guys printing monthly tickets on a weekly ticket stock? It's horrible. Y'all should go back to the MetroCard stuff. All y'all have to do is take the MetroCard logo off that paper. But the MetroCard card stock for the monthly tickets was wonderful. People liked it. It was waterproof. People used it. It was bend proof. So your monthly commuters who pay a lot of money deserve better. So that is that. And then in terms of the LIRR trains, we're noticing the trains are very dirty all the time. And I've noticed that too. I've noticed Metro North trains are very clean, but LIRR is very dirty. And it's the trains, it's all the trains, Grand Central, Penn Station. And we're finding things behind the seats, under the seats. It's crazy. So you'll need to work on that. Even the restrooms, you'll need to do a better job at that. In terms of the Hollis station, the construction has been ongoing, but again, we have no shuttle buses. And they are reverse commuters during the day who go do the reverse trip. They should have a shuttle bus, at least one bus to take them there. They shouldn't have to navigate, with the Queens bus redesign, taking 3 different buses to get to Hollis. We deserve better than that. And same thing with the overnight work. So, Mr. LIRR President, if you can please give me a status report on Hollis, that would be much appreciated. You guys have my phone number. Give me a call. Otherwise, we look forward to the Hollis station at some point. I don't know if it's going to be ready by next year, but hopefully. And that's pretty much it, guys. Have a good
Thank you for
afternoon.
your remarks. Our next speaker is Iris Kelly, followed by Murray Bowden.
Hello? Okay. The Long Island Railroad needs a better setup for people who Atlantic Terminal. Since Grand Central came in, you destroyed Brooklyn. It was always very convenient, properly done, but once February that came in, everything went downhill. We already had our own trains coming from Brooklyn to going into Long Island. We had other different things too, and our own trains coming back in from where we're coming from. The signage in Jamaica is way too high. It's 16 inches, way too high. You need to bring it down. You don't need to see all this metal. You're thinking people 5 foot and above, so you think about, what about the people under 5 foot who can be able to see things? And it's really a disgrace how I had to walk from track 1 and 2 up and over to track 12 to get home. It always was connecting between 2 and 3. There's some excuse. There shouldn't be. If you don't want 3, at least track 2, which you've done before in the past. Give us more convenience. Don't make it inconvenience for everybody, especially at night. It's the worst part of it. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Murray Bowden, followed by Evan Yankee.
Let's see. There I am. Good morning. I'm Murray Bowden. Every Long Island Railroad crossing must be controlled by standard red, yellow, green traffic lights. Flashing red lights were designed for a world that no longer exists. The driver needs clear information. Traffic lights are used everywhere, and people understand a red light means stop, a yellow line means watch out, it's going to turn red, and a green light means go. Technology that's outdated must be updated for safety reasons. It's your job to increase safety by giving drivers information that's useful. The cost of installing traffic lights, excuse me, with red light cameras will stop accidents very well. This new system of presenting information works rather well. It's taken me some time to learn it, but I think I'm learning it. I thank you for the opportunity of being able to address you from my house and not having to travel to New York City. It's your responsibility to correct this. I can't do it. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Evan Yankee, followed by Lisa Daglian.
Good morning. My name is Evan Yankee, and I'm the Advocacy Director for Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled, an independent living center based in Brooklyn. We're here today to support our colleagues who experience barriers to navigation of the Woodside LIRR station on a recent trip to the city, but we're also here to speak in general about issues of navigation in MTA systems, especially for travelers from out of town. For blind and low vision travelers, navigating the system freely and without barriers depends on being able to travel between trains, platforms, and the street independently. Our colleagues recently traveled into the Woodside station from Long Island and were confronted by a denial of support from conductors exiting the train, a lack of knowledge of station navigation by LIRR staff on the site, a lack of correct and up-to-date scheduling information on the station's audio system, and a chaotic system of physical barriers at the station, making transition between trains, platforms, and exits difficult. When the LIRR's accessibility options don't work for anyone, it's a problem. But when they don't work for travelers from out of town, they are left with fewer options and become more isolated. New York City benefits when our city is accessible to travelers from out of town. It makes our city a destination for people with disabilities from all over the world, and our economy and culture benefits. Years ago, the MTA created an accessibility lab at the J Street Station in downtown Brooklyn that allowed people with disabilities to try out accessibility interventions, especially for station navigation, and evaluate the effectiveness of solutions. With so many LIRR stations, including barriers to navigations, we encourage you to bring these problem-solving labs back. We also hope you can work to train LIRR staff on station navigation and their obligation to support blind and low vision travelers traveling throughout the station. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Our next speaker is Lisa Daglian, followed by Omar Vera.
Thanks. Hi, good morning. I'm Lisa Daglian, the Executive Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA PCAC. Today, I have several cheers and a big Bronx cheer. First, the cheers. To the crews that worked tirelessly to restore service after the incredible rains on July 14th so the riders could have a normal rush the next day. Thank you. To everyone instrumental in the resiliency project on the Hudson Line to reduce the threat of rising waters. Thank you. M9As, a huge cheer for you. Can't wait to meet you. And M3s, you've served us well. We'll raise a glass and cheer you as you trundle off into the distance. Riders, the record number of us on board trains are a testament to the resiliency and faith of the Long Island Railroad and Metro North, their safety and reliability in the people who run them, and the importance they play in running and living our lives. Let's not forget 4.8-star train time app rating either. Happiness also comes in the form of favorable fare box revenue due to higher ridership on both railroads. Congrats to Metro North on reducing the percentage of fares not collected. We hope it's a similar decline on the LIRR, but don't see that in the performance update. We'd love to give a double cheer if that information was mirrored for both railroads so we could make that comparison. Cheer on some healthy competition, perhaps. I would personally like to thank Paul Ditlin for helping thousands of Long Island Railroad fans, cheer on David Wright at his number retirement on July 19th. That Saturday, Woodside was scheduled for an outage, but Paul and team responded quickly to open a window for service. It literally allowed thousands of Mets fans, including me, to take the train to the game on a day packed with meaning and platitudes. Thank you. The Bronx jeer goes to whatever entity is slowing down Penn Access work, Amtrak. Unacceptable. This month you'll be looking at New Rochelle yard improvements, but it will be a train to nowhere unless said entity bucks up and gets back on track.
Thank you for your remarks.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Omar Vera, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning, Joint LIR Metro North Commuter Rails Committee. I mentioned this a while ago, but I was going to mention this. I think they should all happen to have a discounts to the area airports at the various rail stations. Like for example, Atlantic Terminal, also known as Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn. Apparently there aren't any joint air train tickets there yet. Like I mentioned this many years ago, but just like the Manhattan stations have this deal, the Brooklyn station should as well, because like I said, commuter rails can be used for anywhere. So therefore, Other than that, like I said, Grand Central Madison is really great. I've seen it everywhere. You should all give yourselves all pats on the back because that was impressive to get like the stations. With that said, you'll balance my time, and I'll see you around.
Thank you for your remarks. Our final speaker is Alita Dupree.
Thank you. Good morning to the chair. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Folds to talk about railroad today. Can't open the web link to the minutes, so I wasn't able to read that, so we should find out what that's happening. So I couldn't review the minutes. I see we have a fare increase coming on for Connecticut. Not going to affect me too much, but it looks like something that we need to do. I think you all certainly have had a higher level of transparency in justifying the fare increase as opposed to what I've seen at other systems around the country. So we'll get ready for that. And I trust that the money will help us to build a better Metro North in Connecticut. So I'll have my train time app out and the numbers will be a little bit higher. Electricity looks a bit unfavorable for us across the system, mostly due to traction rates. So we got to find out, is this a demand issue? We should work toward buying our own electricity and trading that where we can get some more of that under control. We're running systems well. I'm not seeing anything catastrophic. In May, there was a big fire on BART, and I've had my hands full writing and commenting about that, and they've gotten past it, I think. But, you know, I bring you some Grand Central Terminal today. I did see you got to do a tour of that for a group. That's excellent work. We want to introduce people to this famous railroad station, which I not only enjoy, which I not only take seriously, but I've enjoyed since the fall of 1980. I hope to see you in person sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. Chair, that concludes our public comment speaking session for today.
Thank you, and we'd like to thank all the speakers who spoke today and share your comments. Now, we're moving on with the agenda. We have the key performance metrics report, which is in the book, so we'll just go skip that and move right on. For the joint railroad administrative items, we will begin with the approval of the minutes for the June 23rd meeting. Do I have a motion by Michael? Do I have a second? Second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. They are approved. Now for the work plan. Chair, are there any changes to the work plan, Justin?
Good morning, Chair. Yes, going forward, Grand Central Retail Development won't be on the MNR work plan and will be presented in a different format beginning in Q1.
Thank you. Why don't we move right into the President's report for Metro North Railroad.
All right, thank you. Before we get started, I'm pleased to announce the appointment of Joe Lagana as Senior Vice President of Operation. Joe brings over 30 years of experience in the railroad industry, including 21 years in operations leadership at Metro North. Most recently serving as Chief Transportation Officer, Joe has led initiatives to improve operational performance, enhance safety programs, increase crew productivity, and strengthen fare collection. His leadership has been key to advancing data-driven decision-making and ensuring service reliability. Joe began his career as a train dispatcher at Amtrak and has since held several key roles within Metro North's Operation Control Center. Please join me in congratulating Joe on this well-deserved promotion and in supporting him as he leads our operations. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to Evan Zuccarelli, who's been acting Senior Vice President of Operations for the past 3 months. Evan will continue in his role as Chief of Operations Oversight. And finally, I would like to welcome Eamon Foley as Metro North's General Counsel. Eamon joined the MTA in June of 2014, serving as Transit's Unit Chief, Labor and Employment Law through December 2019, and currently served as Special Counsel to the MTA Legal Department. Prior to coming to the MTA, Eamon was Senior Counsel at the New York City Law Department for over a decade, and before that, he worked in private practice as an associate and partner at a commercial litigation firm. Please join me in welcoming Eamon. All right, moving on to normal business. Metro North's service and ridership remains strong. June's on-time performance was 97.7%, and we're operating at 98.2% year-to-date through June. I really just want to point out what a tremendous effort this is from the entire team to make this happen. To operate at 92% for the first 6 months of the year is huge, and the team has done a great job, and they really deserve all the recognition for this. Moving on to ridership. Our average weekday ridership is more than 235,000 riders, and we set 2 new post-COVID ridership records in June with nearly 259,000 riders on Wednesday, June 18th, and a new Sunday record on June 29th with 128,000 riders. Frequent, on-time, reliable service leads to customer satisfaction, and we're delighted to see our efforts rewarded with the latest customer satisfaction scores, showing that we climbed 4% to 89% satisfaction from our customers. John Kaufman and his team will be presenting on this in more detail later in the committee. And as a reminder, Summer Saturdays program is back on Metro North, rewarding our monthly riders with the ability to ride anywhere on this railroad and bring up to 2 guests with them for just $1 each. All right, next slide. Over the past month or so, Metro North has been recognized by both federal and multiple industry associations for our efforts regarding safety and security. The Transportation Security Administration, TSA, honored us with their prestigious Gold Standard Award. We are one of only 5 of the nearly 6,800 transit agencies nationwide to receive this award. This is the second time we have been recognized with this honor based on our performance across 17 categories of security and emergency preparedness. This is a tremendous achievement. The American Public Transportation Association, APTA, awarded us with their Gold Award for Commuter Rail Emergency Management for our Code Silver procedure. And in addition, our operations training team received a Rail Safety Certificate of Merit for their development of a Train Approach Warning virtual reality course. And we received Rail Security Certificate of Merit for a project which is utilizing AI for security purposes. And both the International Association of Public Transport, UITP, and the Conference for Minority Transportation Officials, COMTO, recognized Metro North for our design and implementation of virtual reality training, which allows us to train employees in high-stress scenarios in a controlled environment. Congratulations once again to all of our employees involved in these initiatives. It is always nice to see them recognized for their hard work and dedication. Now I'll share some of the ways that Metro North has been doing business differently to reduce costs and improve efficiencies. So we're now in year 3 of identifying and implementing significant cost savings and operating efficiencies as part of the MTA's Operating Efficiencies Initiative. At Metro North, we are not simply just cutting the budget. We're really thinking how we redo business and do things differently. This strategic shift has delivered tangible results. Over $10 million in 2023, $47 million in 24, and we're on track to save $67 million in 2025. These savings are being driven by improved overtime oversight, more disciplined contract management, optimized crew and train scheduling, targeted energy efficiency initiatives, the rollout of standard work, and increased revenue from Grand Central Terminal events. This is not a one-time effort. We are embedding these efficiencies into our operating model to deliver sustainable, long-term savings. A key success of MTA's Operating Efficiency Initiative has been targeted reduction of overtime through smarter management and data-driven decision-making. In both maintenance of equipment and maintenance of way, we've implemented comprehensive dashboards to better understand and communicate overtime drivers and usage. We have reinforced accountability to department-level overtime budgets. We're also applying business case and risk impact analysis proactively to reduce overtime on major projects. These strategies are paying off. When you compare January through June of 24 to the same period in 25, overtime hours have dropped 20% in maintenance equipment and 29% in maintenance away. This reflects a meaningful shift in how we manage our resources and deliver work. We aren't doing less work, we're really just doing it more efficiently. So looking ahead, we remain focused on driving further efficiencies across Metro North's operations. Our priorities include aligning service with demand by using an advanced technology, such as automated passenger counting, to better understand ridership patterns and optimize schedules. Improving asset management through continued rollout of our standard work program in 26, driving greater consistency, productivity, and cost savings across all departments. Improving asset utilization using AI-driven material management software and more efficient outage planning to maximize productivity during track outages. enhancing service delivery by optimizing train and crew assignments to improve operational and workforce performance, and increasing non-fare revenue by partnering with MTA Real Estate to expand event programming at Grand Central Terminal. Our continued progress is driven by the innovation and commitment of our employees, whose efforts ensure we deliver a more efficient railroad without compromising safety or reliability. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the president? Yes, Medora.
Hi, Chair. Thank you so much. Thank you, Justin. A question for you as it relates to all of these efficiencies. Do you have an example of one that, yes, that's really great for our operations, but things that will hit riders in a good way? For example, reduced travel time because of some of these operating efficiencies.
Yeah, I think I would mention one of the items is regarding consist reduction.
Okay.
Right, so there's a cost to every car that we operate. So one of the things we've tried to do is reduce the consist where possible. And then there's occasionally the perception of crowding on trains because there is this, passengers don't love the middle seat, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So that drives the perception of crowding when trains really aren't crowded. But thanks to ridership coming back, we have added additional cars.
And when you're thinking about new fleet, that the middle seat question is interesting. As you know, I don't mind the middle seat, but I get it. Are you thinking about different design interior in terms of like positioning of seats and all that? Make it kind of a little bit more like a subway?
Sure, then by doing that, you lose capacity, unfortunately. So we are seeing on some of our lines, specifically the New Haven line, people are starting to use the middle seat. When you look at pre-pandemic, people were using the middle seat, so I think it's just a matter of time before they get back to it. And as ridership comes back, that should help with a lot of that.
Great, and we want to keep up the capacity and making sure that we can fit as many people as we can. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Randy.
Thank you. Just as a comment, for information, New Jersey Transit's multi-level cars. They're really double deckers, but they call them multi-levels. The seating is all 2 and 2 because they have 2 levels.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on then to Rob for the Long Island Railroad. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. We also have no changes to our work plan as well. Ridership continues to remain strong, in fact, extremely strong. For the month of June, ridership was 6.9 million riders, which is a 6.7% increase over June of last year and represents an 89% of June 2019 ridership, our highest percentage of pre-pandemic ridership. Year-to-date ridership is 9.3% above year-to-date last year, and monthly ticket ridership is 9% above where it was last year as well. Monday through Friday, average weekday ridership for the month of June was 266,047 riders, our highest Monday through Friday weekday average since the pandemic. And actually, the last week and a half, ridership has been exploding. So some more recent records, we broke our single day post-COVID ridership with 298,419 riders last Wednesday, which broke the record which was set just the day before. So really great numbers there. For the week of July 14th, ridership, our 7-day ridership was 1,666,285 riders, again, the highest since the pandemic. July 18th, we had our highest Friday ridership with 278,160 riders. And on the next day, July 19th, we had 168,161 riders. And it's important to realize with these numbers, they're not just summer ridership records. These are any time period, not during the slow season, post-pandemic ridership records. We're in the slow season right now, and ridership is exploding. And it's really it's a result of our great service that we're providing, including increased customer satisfaction, which as Justin mentioned, a presentation will be given there, which includes cleanliness, which we received 81% satisfaction at our stations, onboard cleanliness 80%, and even our onboard bathrooms received a 4% increase. So great numbers there, and record reliability. Speaking of reliability, June on-time performance was 95.9%, our highest June in recorded history outside of COVID. Year-to-date, we're at 96.5%, and all other performance metrics is located in the book. And for the operations report, which is included as an information item, Eitan Kershaw, Senior Director of Strategic Priorities, will give an in-depth, granular look at how we're tracking our on-time performance numbers outside of anything we've ever done before, really looking at it from a customer experience perspective. So we're looking forward to that presentation, Eitan, no pressure. All right, and for safety, for the 12-month period ending May 2025, excuse me, customer injury rate fell by 29% and employee injury rate fell by 10% for the same time period. And all other safety metrics will be in the book as well. So for reducing cost, we too were tasked with identifying recurring operating savings. Forgive me, I did a lot of work around the house this weekend, so my voice is jamming me up. The Long Island Railroad is on track to deliver over $70 million in operating efficiencies this year, on top of the $60 million in 2024 and the $15 million in 2023. This was no easy task. The team not only looked for low-hanging fruit, but it also performed a deep forensic analysis of our operation to identify real savings, and they continue to do so. The amazing part is that these savings are being realized without service cuts that you are seeing throughout the country. We're reducing costs over a wide range of areas within our operation, as this slide illustrates. One of the areas I'd like to highlight is our maintenance of equipment team. This group has uncovered innovative ways to find new efficiencies that have reduced cost and improved productivity. I'll start with periodic inspections. The periodic inspection process was examined, looking at both the way in which we perform inspections and the requirements within the federal regulations to determine absolute requirements and inefficiencies within our existing processes. As a result of this analysis, we reduced the time we spent performing periodic inspections by 25% per train car per year. This change has generated $2.8 million in savings annually. Next, I'll highlight the M7 air brake and truck program. Another area where we leverage FRA regulations is the air brake inspection cycle. With this initiative, we are able to align this inspection with another maintenance cycle, the Truck Reliability Centered Maintenance Program. The team combined these programs, saving equipment downtime, the time it takes to perform the work as they are done simultaneously, and reduces the number of cars required to be worked on each year. This initiative has produced savings of $4.4 million annually. And lastly, I'll touch on preventative maintenance of shop support equipment. This analysis looked at historical performance and OEM guidelines. We revised PM cycles for key rolling stock support equipment. By modifying and refining PM intervals, we realized savings of $2.1 million annually. All these savings have been realized without impacting fleet reliability. In fact, we are realizing higher MDBF, improved customer satisfaction, and improved on-time performance. As we move forward, we are continuing our efforts to identify savings by streamlining our operations and becoming more efficient. The team has identified other areas that promise to provide recurring savings into the future. Some of these initiatives include maximizing track outages, fleet cleaning procedures, maintenance of equipment and engineering process optimization, yard operation efficiencies, strategic about our headcount growth, further reduce fare evasion, which has been doing remarkable. We're at 96, almost 97% fare revenue collected, and improving employee availability. These efforts underscore our disciplined, forward-looking approach, finding savings not through one-time cuts, but by building smarter, more sustainable practices into our daily operations, and have also created a mindset at the agency of our obligation to be fiscally responsible. All right, for all you golf enthusiasts, Long Island will host the 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black from September 23rd to the 28th. The Long Island Railroad will add service and stops to accommodate all the fans who wisely choose to use our service to attend the event. With the addition of mainline third track and Ronkonkoma double track, the service plan will be even more seamless, as these generational infrastructure improvements have added tremendous capacity and flexibility. Good luck, Team USA. At this year's APTA Rail Conference, the Long Island Railroad won APTA Gold Award in the category of rail security. We were also recognized with a Merit Award for our Stations Department safety protocols. I would like to thank the members of our stations and security team for all their hard work in these areas, especially Bob Murphy, Nelson Azario from our Office of Security, and from stations Teresa Dorsey and David Sisolak. Congratulations to all, great job. And finally, I'll close out by congratulating Paul Dietland, who's been appointed to Senior Vice President of Operations, a familiar face who's with us, and Chris Go, appointed to Vice President of Corporate Safety, another familiar face who's always with us. Congratulations. And that concludes my report, and I'll try to answer any questions. Forgive my voice.
Thank you, Rob. Are there any questions to keep him speaking? Let's torture Rob. Anyone? Yes, Melva.
Hi, Rob. Yes, thank you. And I love to hear the ridership numbers. That is awesome. So I'm just curious, what adjustments, long-term adjustments, do you think are needed to scheduling and to the service model to accommodate the change in ridership in the patterns of the way people are traveling?
Well, as you know, we increased service 40% when we introduced Grand Central Madison. So looking at the numbers, the amount of service we have, we increased off-peak service on basically almost all the branches. Peak service increased. We actually increased reverse peak service by 56% as well. And we look at the numbers every day, looking at the data for ridership on board our trains, and there's still plenty of capacity on board our trains. On the AM peak, don't forgive me, it's about 47%, and the PM peak is about 49% capacity. So we think we're well situated to accommodate even more increased ridership.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just
David?
one from me. Thank you for that. I saw a trend in 2024 and 2025 on the on-time percentage where there's a peak in April, and then it goes down a little bit after. What's happening that is unique to April that is allowing for the highest on-time percentage that is different from, months right before and right after? It was not obvious to me.
We'd have to look at it a little more in depth, but I think, what helps is as you come out of the winter months and the weather starts to change and it's a little more favorable. The springtime and the fall time are actually ideal months for on-time performance reliability of your equipment because it's not either extremely hot or extremely cold. So there are optimum influences that help the equipment as well. And ridership is not, it's coming off of lower ridership in the winter, and it's not where, like when you start hitting May and June, you start hitting the really high ridership numbers as well. So I think if you looked historically, those are kind of like just trends that stand out in my mind.
Thank you.
Yes, Randy.
You have 2 and 2 seating also on these C3 cars. It's not unique. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, Justin and Rob, thank you for your very uplifting reports. They're all good news, so thank you so much. Now moving on, the operations, safety, and the MTA police reports are in the book, so we encourage all the members to please take a look at those. And now for the Metro North Railroad, the action item, Steve Weiss will discuss the Connecticut DOT fare increase. Steve, please.
Thank you, Chair. Metro North is looking to obtain MTA board adoption of a resolution authorizing implementation of the fare increases recently proposed and approved by the Connecticut Department of Transportation, CTDOT. This action impacts fares to or from Connecticut stations on Metro North's New Haven line, as these are set by CTDOT. It does not impact fares for travel within New York State. Under the terms of the State of Connecticut MTA Metro North Amended and Restated Service Agreement, also known as ARSA, approval by both the MTA Board and CTDOT is needed to implement CTDOT fare increases for the New Haven Main Line. The increase is initiated by the State of Connecticut, and the MTA is required to implement it. The Connecticut Department of Transportation proposes that New Haven Line fares for travel to or from stations located in the state of Connecticut be increased by 5% effective September 1st, 2025, and by an additional 5% effective July 1st, 2026, with CTDOT reserving the ability to withdraw the July 1st, 2026 increase should there be intervening changes to CTDOT's budget. As described in the staff summary, CTDOT advertised the proposed increases, solicited public comments, and held public hearings in person and virtually between June 23 and July 1st. CTDOT provided Metro North with a written summary of the comments received during the public outreach. CTDOT also conducted and published an equity analysis regarding the proposed increases, which concluded that the fare changes would not have a disparate impact or disproportionate burden on minority or low-income populations. The proposed fare increase for September 1st, 2025 is detailed in the tables attached to the annexed resolution. Fare tables for the July 1, 2026 increase will be developed and provided to the board prior to implementation. Metro North will also implement CTDOT's Connecticut branch line fare increases at the same time as the New Haven line main line increases. Under ARSA, branch line fares are solely determined by CTDOT. Unit ticket prices will not be affected by the proposed increase. Uni-rail prices will be increased based upon CTDOT's determination of fares. As mentioned earlier, this action does not affect fares charged on the New Haven line for travel taking place wholly within New York State. It is estimated that the proposed fare increases effective September 1st, 2025 and July 1st, 2026 will increase New Haven line net revenue by approximately $1.4 million in 2025, $16.1 million in 2026, and $20.5 million in 2027. It is recommended that the MTA board adopt the resolution attached to the staff summary authorizing implementation of CTDOT increases effective for September 1, 2025 and July 1, 2026 in Metro North New Haven line fares for travel to or from Connecticut stations.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have any questions for Steve? Yes.
So let me see if I understand this. Within a 9-month period, they want to raise fares 10%.
Yes.
Okay. So do we have any view? I'll ask Justin, but I'm sure he may not have an answer to this. Do we have any sense of how the customer perceives who is actually raising the fares on them? Do they think it is Connecticut, the state of Connecticut, and their own budgetary problems, or do they blame the MTA?
So Connecticut went out with, I think it was 4 public hearings. So I think they've done a pretty decent job getting it out there that it is due to their budget. So I think the customers in Connecticut understand.
Okay, well, I don't understand. I'm actually kind of offended by a 10% increase. In fact, this board has worked diligently since I've been on this board 11 years to have predictable and low, basically just shy of inflation, actually, increases. And Connecticut, acting a lot like our neighbor to the south, New Jersey, raising things double digits is problematic, I think. And I personally fear, Justin, that in fact we will be tainted by this exorbitant increase. I realize that, as Stephen correctly read, it is the sole purview of Connecticut, despite the fact that we provide, I guess, a stamp of some sort to this choice. But so I don't know what the procedural change would be if we voted against it. I'm not suggesting this group would like to do that, but if we voted against it, I suspect it creates some strange anomaly between their right and our stamp. So, but I am bothered by this and by the perception that it is okay to raise people in the middle of an inflationary period, double-digit increases within a 12-month period.
Thank you, Neil. Steve?
Just one comment on that. The Connecticut fares are set and approved by the Connecticut legislation. They originally requested a July 1st increase, so the reason for the September 1st increase have to do with systems and timing and where the process was at.
Yes, Medora?
Thank you, Commissioner Zuckerman. Feel very much similar to how you feel right now. I do have a question, though, and I understand it's the purview of others. So September 1st, 2025 seems pretty quick, so I just wanted to understand their fare increase process. You said that they were having hearings. Good to hear. Wanted to understand, like, kind of when this proposal was first announced, to just understand how much time the public really had for an effective September 1st fare increase. I'm sorry, it was earlier this year. Do we have, like, a month or?
So Connecticut announced their public fare hearings at the beginning of June.
Okay.
And then they had, in the last week of June, that's when they had their in-person public hearings and their online virtual hearings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Melva.
Sorry, first meeting, a lot of questions. I'm just curious about process a little bit and how it's going to affect ridership across the board. So has there been analysis to determine how the fare increase will affect cross-border ridership and equity? It's a two-part question. I'm just going to throw it both out there so you can answer. And the second question I have is, how will the MTA support impacted riders, especially if the fares remain unchanged here for now? Will this create disparities in access and perception of affordability?
So Connecticut did perform their own equity analysis for their ridership. Per the ARSA contract and agreement, Connecticut does set the fares for any travel on New Haven Line to and from Connecticut Station. So if somebody's traveling from, let's say, Stamford to Grand Central, that fare by contract is set by Connecticut. I don't have the details on their equity analysis with me. We can provide, get you further details on that. But one of the things that we also have to keep in mind when either Connecticut or the MTA raises fares on the New Haven line is to make sure that the two stations on the New York side, which would be Rye and Portchester, that those fares are always no higher than the fares on the Connecticut side, which would be Greenwich, Coscob, and so forth. And again, that's all part of the contract and the calculations.
Again, just really curious, do we know just off the cuff, off the back of the envelope, how will it affect ridership? In their analysis, does it talk about how it would affect cross-border ridership?
Again, the ridership that was considered is only ridership that's coming from or going to a Connecticut station.
Okay.
So I mean, there's again, as part of the fare increase and the impacts, there are elasticity calculations in the model, given that any fare increase generally translates to some reduction on ridership, but usually those reductions are relatively small.
Okay. And there's no plan for the MTA to assist in the impact of riders?
That's beyond my purview.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, now that we have provided a seat at the table for the chair of our Finance Committee, I would like to ask, I call for a motion. Anyone would like to make a motion on this recommendation? No motions.
Can I just ask, can I?
I'll make a motion to move this to the full board.
Okay, motion to move to the full board by Sammy. Do I second? Second. Thank you, Michael. Discussion.
Can I ask a procedural question? Yes. So what, I mean, I'm serious, and I don't know if we have the legal eagle can answer. Like, what if this board says no to this? Like, what does that actually mean practically? I'm serious.
That is a question that I have indeed asked myself. And Steve, we had a conversation. If you'd like to comment on that, or counsel?
I think that's counsel.
Okay, Eamon, please.
Yeah, hi. We've, this fare increase is determined by the parties' agreement, the ARSA agreement. We've reviewed that. The process is that either party can recommend a fare increase. Its implementation is subject by approval by both parties. And that's what this is seeking here, is a recommendation from this committee for the full board to adopt a resolution implementing the fare increase set by the state of Connecticut. We have reviewed the materials provided by the state, including the equity analysis, which is publicly available, and also their description of the public comment period. That's the underpinnings of this this current action request.
Thank you. Jerry, please.
All right, I'm going to have a contrary opinion to everybody. It's going to seem, how do we tell them, no, you can't have a fare increase, or we don't want you to have a fare increase in September, and then we're going to turn around and have a 4% increase on our commuter rail towards the end of the year. And then they also left open the fact that they could eliminate the one in 2026, depending on their budget So they're not setting 2026 in stone. They're just setting 2025 in stone. And I think we should just move it the way they want it. I don't think it's worth fighting it.
Sammy, please.
If I could clarify my quick recommendation, I think there's already expressed, some, there's a lot of implications, right? There's a large increase. You're right, Jerry. We're going to have a fair increase. We're also going to have, a period of public comment where we're going to get input before we vote on our fair increase. We have a lot of new board members. I'm just suggesting for us to move this to full board without having an opportunity to have the conversation with the full board, I think gives it short shrift to all the implications that we have recommended. I'm not, so my motion was not a suggestion that we shouldn't vote in favor of this or move this. I think the topic, has gravity enough and is new enough to a lot of us that I think it merits discussion for the full board. Yeah. Okay. Great. So you're not in contrary. We're in agreement, Jerry. I'm voting to move forward without
Move it to the
recommendation
full board.
to the full board, so we can have this conversation as the full body.
Okay, any other discussion before we move for a vote? Mr. Mack? David?
You're right. A 10% increase is scary. And Jerry, I agree with you also regarding ourselves. But I'll vote to move it to the full board.
Midori,
Thank
for the
you.
close.
Well, no, it was just a request. Eamon, really appreciate kind of your laying out of the agreement. If our board could be given the equity analysis, I don't see it in my materials here. That would just be helpful for us as I review it at least prior to Wednesday. That would be really important.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to advance this recommendation to the full board. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. And now we will move on to a joint presentation for customer satisfaction survey results from John Kaufman and Tatiana Levina. Who's going first?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tatiana Levina, and I'm the Senior Director of Market Research at the MTA. I'm really excited to present the last round of customer research results for both Long Island Railroad and Metro North. A few details before we jump into the results. So the last round of customers count was conducted in the last 2 weeks of April and the first week of May. The survey was fielded in 9 languages, including English, and we also have a phone option for anybody who needs special assistance. The customer survey was marketed through our email list of customers. We also advertise it on all of our digital platforms, such as the MTA app, mta.info, and Train Time. The survey was also marketed in the system on digital screens and displays. And we really thank our digital marketing and advertising teams for helping to get the word out. For the spring survey, both Long Island Railroad and Metro North both got over 17,000 respondents. And customers were asked to think about their last 6 months as they were thinking about their experience for both railroads. So all the data you'll see today will cover the months of the winter and the first few months of spring in terms of customer experience. I do want to caution that for customers, they're more likely to remember their most recent experience as well. Our sample is weighted by ridership, utilizing average weekday counts, and also it is weighted by census on income and minority status. And now let's jump into the results. So as you can see on this chart, we're showing overall satisfaction for both Long Island Railroad and Metro North since the survey started in September 22. Both railroads experienced an overall satisfaction increase in the last wave. Specifically for Long Island Railroad, The score of 81% satisfied is now on par with what it was before Grand Central Madison opened. And this increase can be linked to better scheduling and service improvements, especially in the last year. The top 3 drivers of overall satisfaction for Long Island Railroad are transfer experience, service reliability, and on-time performance. And customers had increased satisfaction with all 3 metrics. Despite not adding any new service recently, satisfaction with both peak and off-peak service frequency has seen a 6-point increase each, signaling that the fine-tuning of the schedules has been noticed by customers. Metro North is also doing extremely well. As you can see, overall satisfaction is up to 89%, like Justin mentioned in this presentation. All service-related attributes are scoring very high, and I'll share more details on that later. So this chart, we break down what makes up the overall satisfaction score. The green bar represents customers who rated both railroads either a 9 or a 10 on a 10-point scale. So these are very satisfied customers. The blue bar represents those who rated railroads 6, 7, and 8. They're satisfied. And as you can see for both Long Island Railroad and Metro North, there was an increase in share of customers who are very satisfied. And at the same time, a significant decrease in customers who were very dissatisfied, shown in the red bar, those who rated railroads a 1 and a 2. These are really good trends. On this slide, we're showing overall satisfaction for each railroad by how frequently a customer travels. Typically, in any transit service, the more frequently somebody travels, the more they're going to be dissatisfied. This is just a function. The more frequently somebody travels, they're more likely to encounter issues. And we see this across every single MTA mode. But the good news is that if you look at the numbers underneath the charts, they're showing a percentage point increase from last wave for every subgroup, meaning that the largest gains are actually seen for customers who are traveling most frequently, indicating that the improvements in service reliability are being noticed, and there are just fewer issues in the system to encounter. And now let's take a closer look at Long Island Railroad satisfaction at the branch level. If you remember, overall satisfaction for Long Island Railroad went up 5 percentage points since fall 2024. Overall satisfaction for most branches is up. I specifically want to call out City Zone and Port Washington, both increasing into high 80s and way above pre-GCM levels. Port Washington specifically is a success story because just a few waves ago, it was one of the lowest rated branches. The Long Island Railroad team engaged with Port Washington customers directly through local officials and through a targeted survey that aimed at figuring out exactly what the issues were. The Long Island Railroad then tweaked schedules based on customer feedback, resulting in very high levels of satisfaction among Port Washington customers. Transfer experience is the top driver of overall satisfaction for anyone who had to transfer in the past 2 years. And after Grand Central Madison opening, customers who always transfer were consistently the least satisfied segment. As you can see on the left-hand side, just 2 years ago, their overall satisfaction was at 50%. We undertook custom market research in order to better understand the intricacies and problems with the transfer experience. And what we learned was that customers who missed their connecting train because their train arrives late to Jamaica just by a few minutes, it upsets them, even if they don't have to wait very long for another connecting train. So armed with this information, Long Island Railroad management took a heightened focus on Jamaica OTP, and you will hear a lot more details about it from Eitan in the following presentation. There have been some really great gains in that area. Additional improvements to transfer experience include earlier platform assignments, clear info on train time, and more platform announcements. And the results are in. Just in 2 years, with all of these changes, overall satisfaction for people who always transfer went up to 69% satisfied, a 19-point increase. Okay, so this chart shows overall satisfaction with Long Island Railroad by the terminal that the customers are traveling to. And customers going to all terminals saw an increase in satisfaction. But I do want to call out specifically customers traveling to Atlantic Terminal that saw a 29-point satisfaction increase over the past 2 years, and customers traveling to Penn who saw an 11-point increase in overall satisfaction. We can chalk this up to better schedules, smoother transfer experience, and also customers just getting used to the post-GCM world, even if now they do have to transfer. When we look at satisfaction with stations specifically, the metric of station satisfaction also saw an 8-point increase over the last 2 years since spring 2023. And now let's turn our attention to Metro North, which saw a 4-point increase in overall satisfaction to 89%. The gains in satisfaction were equally distributed across branches, and almost pretty much every line segment saw an increase of at least 4 percentage points. And Lower Hudson right now is the highest rated line segment with 92% customer satisfied. Hudson overall is at 90%, very high scores. So what's driving these really high scores? This chart shows metrics that are key drivers of overall satisfaction for Metro North in the order of importance. The light blue circles denote service-related attributes, and it's service-related attribute increases which are driving the overall increase for Metro North. I specifically want to call out peak and off-peak service frequency and seat availability, which saw the highest increases in customer satisfaction. This indicates that customers are happier with the schedule tweaks and service levels despite growing ridership. This concludes our short presentation. I do want to call out that we're always looking for customers to join our survey research panel. So if anybody would like to sign up, you can go to mta.info/customer research, and there is a link for an easy sign up there. I thank you so much for your time, and I will take any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Andy?
This doesn't include west of Hudson.
We do have a report for west of Hudson. We'll make sure you get it right after this presentation.
You're not going to make it public here for discussion?
So it's not part of this presentation. We
Okay.
only had 10 minutes, but
Okay.
we will make sure that you get it.
Thank you.
Neil?
Maybe you mentioned this at the beginning, which I did not hear, but since you mentioned the request for more survey panelists, I'm encouraged to ask you, which is, what is the N of this survey for Metro North, for example?
So both have more than 17,000 respondents.
Okay, fine.
So we have a very good, healthy sample size, but we can always get more panelists.
Fine, thank you.
Yep.
Again, Midori.
Appreciate the survey. Rob, I know you've been hearing from me about Atlantic Avenue, so it's great to see the percentage increases. Thank you for the focus on the Jamaica OTP, specifically, I think, the platform assignments earlier. I'm curious, and we can talk offline about like what operational switch made this experience better for riders, but I know that Atlantic Terminal has been a pain point. I live in Brooklyn. It's been an issue, so really appreciate the focus on that. And how do we make sure it never goes back to 41% again?
Well, as we progress through the schedule, we've seen improvements. We've made adjustments after adjustments. But I think, during the rush hour, seeing a train every 8 minutes go to Atlantic Terminal certainly helps. And then also during the busiest hour and a half, there's basically a train every 15 minutes, a through train. So in combination to the through trains and your trains out of Platform F, you're seeing really robust service there. And we try to align, the platforms when the trains arrive in a platform to try and make it across the platform as much as possible. And there's a lot of trains operating through Jamaica, but I think it's a culmination of all these things: the Jamaica on-time performance, the routing, the additional through trains, and the frequency of trains. And then in the off-peak period, there's a train every 20 minutes going to Atlantic Terminal as well. So those certainly help, and it's very reliable. So I think we're in a good place with that.
Yes, Jerry.
Okay, well, just like Midori wanted to thank you for Atlantic Terminal, I wanted to thank you for the concentration, because that's been my biggest concern, and the biggest concern that I've been hearing from the ridership is the transfer opportunities. That term still irks me, opportunities, but we're working on it. So, and I just wanted to say thank you for putting all that effort into it. Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just disappointed that west of the Hudson wasn't part of your public comments. I think they deserve to have their survey publicly announced.
So west of Hudson, let me give you a little bit more details. Because we get such small sample size for west of Hudson in our survey, we actually are unable to show them separately. So we utilize a lot of data from New Jersey Transit to put together that report. It's technically a little separate from this survey. We just don't get enough people in west of Hudson to complete our survey to have a separate readout for this specific report.
So what are you going to give?
It's an
Me and Mr.
analysis
Glucksman.
based. It's an analysis based on New Jersey Transit data.
So you do have enough if there's New Jersey with west of Hudson? You're just confusing me that the numbers are so small.
Sorry, so let me be a little bit more clear. So the numbers are too small for the survey that we conduct. Therefore, we go to a separate study that New Jersey Transit conducts and utilize their data to do a separate analysis, which is a different methodology, different vendor. So we do have information on how west of Hudson is doing compared to itself, but we are unable to show how they compare to other branches for Metro North. Does that make sense?
I have a solution.
Okay, Randy, you want to follow up?
Well, in the
Medora.
olden days, used to hand out surveys, which I signed, and the president of Metro North Railroad signed, and would hand them out, and they had people at the various stations handing these paper surveys out to people. So that's the old-fashioned days, but that's history now.
Yeah, the survey is currently online.
Midori?
Thank you. Potential solution, and I know you don't necessarily decide all the topics for the presentation, so really appreciate your presentation today. Maybe we can have a situation where we can take the raw data from the New Jersey Transit Survey, up to you on how you do that. I do think the west of Hudson is something that I know our board members really care about. I care about it too. I have family in Rockland, so it would be great to get some insight and perspective, maybe at a different time in the year.
Yes, Justin.
So I do think we do that, and we did that last year. So I think the point of clarification is what Tatiana's referring to is Metro North in its own survey does not get enough from west of Hudson. NJT, because they provide that service for us west of Hudson, they do their own survey. So once we get that from NJT, we'll be able to put together a presentation for you all on west of Hudson.
Thanks. Dan?
Is that correct?
I want to get Dan, and we'll go to Jim.
Great, thank you very much. Just wanted to go back to Atlantic Avenue just for 1 second. First of all, congratulations, those numbers are really good. Atlantic Avenue lagged behind, even though it made a huge leap. Let's just take a step back for a second. Can you help me understand what exactly is responsible for the lack of satisfaction historically on Atlantic Avenue, and what has changed, and why a customer would perceive the experience there less well than at Jamaica or terminating at Penn or the other examples that we saw?
Well, I'll start with increased satisfaction. I won't focus on. But when Grand Central Madison was introduced, we totally changed the way we operate. We rewrote our schedule because of the amount of service that we've increased going to Penn and Grand Central Madison as well. So what happened is when you provide service to Atlantic Terminal, what we call as a through train, it slows Jamaica down and it drastically reduces your capacity because the switches it has to traverse to get to the Atlantic branch. So what was done is you used to have a train, and this was much easier when you served. We serve 5 western terminals. That's something to be very cognizant of. So what trains go to what track, and how do you have a cross-platform connection? You can't do that because you have 5 different branches, meaning you can't have 5 different trains arrive Jamaica Station at the same time and have a cross-platform connection. So when you had Penn Station and Atlantic Terminal as your 2 main terminals, a little bit easier. You could go, 2 trains for the most part. You could have the trains across the platform. Now with the introduction of Grand Central Madison, again, you cannot have that cross-platform connection. So in order to help throughput through Jamaica, add more train service, what was done is the bulk of the trains during the peak period were moved over to what we call Platform F. So customers now, to a certain degree, have to detrain and walk over to Platform F. What we did since the introduction of Grand Central Madison, we had only 4 through trains that went to Atlantic Terminal. We're up to 13 through trains, and through the analysis, we looked at the busiest time periods when it would be most helpful to have a train, busiest time period going to Atlantic Terminal, to identify when it would be helpful to have a through train so they wouldn't have to walk up and over. So we then, in those time periods, added train service within the main part of the station. So that was the crux of it. You had timed connections where the trains were scheduled to arrive at the same time. And that adds to the complexity. I could talk to you offline. There's a lot of complexity within our operation, but you're counting on trains operating from 60, 100 miles away to arrive Jamaica at the same exact time. And what you would do is, because it was a time connection in the schedule, you would hold the train, tying up the station, which hurt Jamaica on-time performance, hurt overall on-time performance. So what we do now is we offer transfer opportunities. So when, on the train time app, when people see how can I get to Atlantic Terminal, how can I get to Grand Central if I'm on a Penn Station train, and it gives them options of trains, and that's why it's so important for the trains to arrive Jamaica, so they have that opportunity to make their transfer opportunity. I said a lot. I can explain more.
Yeah, I think I'm a little confused by that, but I think that's probably because of the complexity. But I do want to understand that. I don't see the connection there as to where the dissatisfaction is coming from specifically. And again, we can focus on the positives because that is unquestionably a positive result there, and the boost in enthusiasm on Atlantic Avenue is unquestionable. It was 29 points better, so this is great. I just don't understand the dimension of the Jamaica plus Platform F plus Grand Central Madison dynamic, and why that inherently results in a less satisfied customer who's terminating Atlantic Avenue. But we can follow up. I don't want to waste everybody's time here.
Thank you, Dan. Jim was next, and then we go to Randy.
Thank you. So, Justin, if I understood you, you did a separate west of Hudson survey last year?
I'll let Tatiana get into more details, but typically that's what happens.
Yes. So we do include west of Hudson in our survey, but we do not get enough people to complete west of Hudson to show them as a separate branch. New Jersey Transit completes their own study in April of every year. They do it once a year. We then get raw data from New Jersey Transit, and we put together our own analysis. The report already exists and can be shared with the members of this board after this meeting, and can also be posted online for public to see. So the report already exists. We have it. We will share it. It can be posted. We did not include excerpts from it in our report, but the data is available.
Okay. So we don't do a separate Metro North for just Orange and Rockland.
That is correct.
That's not what I got from his answer to you. All
That
right?
is correct.
Your answer before led me to believe there was a separate Metro North.
Not Metro North. There's a
survey.
separate survey from Metro North for West of Hudson customers, which Tatiana just outlined.
No, she said it's New Jersey Transit.
Correct.
Right, but what you said earlier led me to believe that we did just a separate Metro North outside,
Sure.
including New Jersey. So we don't do that.
Correct.
Maybe we should look at just from Port Jervis down to Tuxedo.
Well, look, can I just ask a question on this one? Sorry, Mr. Chair, but how many do you need, Tatiana, if he wanted to field a West of Hudson survey that we operated? What's the N you need for that?
We would be okay with even just a few hundred completes. Usually in our survey, we get about 50 people from west of Hudson.
All
who
right,
get
so you
it.
need a 10x increase in the
Correct.
number. Okay, so
Correct.
Jim, Randy, can you guys go find some of your friends to fill it out? Because it sounds like you know some people, and it sounds like you want a survey. So if you're dying for a survey, go find another 450 people for us, because I'm guaranteeing these guys are trying pretty hard to go find people. They don't want to fill it out. So you two are responsible for finding us 450 people.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Randy,
I
it's-
am responsible.
Randy, for your rebuttal.
Right.
Your turn. You're done.
I'll rebuttal.
Okay.
All right. I'm responsible for the 400,000 people in Orange County, so I'd like to see a legitimate survey for the customers there, and we can do everything we can to increase ridership. So, thanks.
Thank you. Seriously, Randy, did you want to speak again? I thought
Yes,
you
I
said you
wanted
did.
to, you said that there are adjustments made as the people are going, and the train time app, is it updated if someone has asked for a train to go to Penn Station and they're on one for going to Grand Central Madison? Is the train time app automatically updating the way the transfers should be made, or did I misunderstand something?
Yeah, it gives you, excuse me, yes, it gives you the location to transfer at. So if you're on a train at a Far Rockaway and it's a Grand Central Madison train, you'll type in you're going from Far Rockaway to Penn Station. It'll tell you where to transfer and then give you your transfer
So it's
opportunities.
updated while it's in route?
Well, it's just when you type in your trip, you're saying I'm starting here and my destination is here. It's going to tell you
Oh, so it's not
where you
being
should
automatic. If you
transfer.
said it the first time, you have to do it again to make
No,
sure.
it's going to tell you right off the bat because that's your total trip.
Right.
is-
'Cause the app
for
is excellent.
example,
There's no
yes.
question. It's an excellent app. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, this meeting's been very interesting. The challenges that we have from New Jersey Transit and Connecticut has been real wonderful. But Tatiana, we thank you so much for your report. You did an excellent job. And now moving on for our informational items, I'm going to turn it back to Justin. Can you give us the items for Metro North Railroad, please?
Sure. Evan Zuccarelli will be presenting the Metro North mid-year operations update.
All right, thank you, Justin. All right, good morning. Our mid-year review begins on page 71. I'd like to begin our mid-year review with a look at our ridership performance through the end of June of 2025. So as of June 30th, we have recorded 34.3 million trips system-wide. That is 2.1% above budget projections and 6.1% higher than the same period in 2024. A clear sign of sustained growth in customer confidence. While we observed a seasonal dip in February, ridership rebounded strongly beginning in March, maintaining over 6 million trips per month through May and June. These are encouraging signs of resilience and a return to pre-pandemic habits. Turning on to on-time performance, a key measure of our service reliability, we have continued to exceed expectations. In June, our system-wide on-time performance was 97.7%, which, while slightly below May, remains well above our system goal of 94%, as shown by the orange line on the chart. Our highest performance came in March at 98.7%, with all 6 months maintaining performance above 97.7%. This level of consistency reflects strong coordination between all our inner departments, from transportation, maintenance of way, mechanical, stations operations, service design, including the MTA PD. Next, let's look at our service delivery, which tracks the percentage of scheduled trains that were actually operated. Service delivered has remained exceptionally high, with only slight variations from January through June, all ranging within the 99th percentile. These results demonstrate our ability to run a full, reliable schedule, something our customers count on daily. Now let us shift to fare collection, an area we continue to focus attention. The percentage of fares not collected has ranged between 2.2% and 4.1% over the past 6 months. From January to March, we were below our 4% goal. However, April and May, we were right at and slightly above our goal at 4 and 4.1% respectively, before a modest improvement to 3.6% in June. These fluctuations are being closely reviewed. We are assessing each incident and working on targeted strategies to reduce missed revenue. We know fare revenue is critical to our financial health, and we are committed to improving this performance through both operational discipline and ridership education. Last, let's take a look at our mean distance between failures, or MDBF, our primary indicator of mechanical reliability. This year's performance has varied above our 225,000-mile goal, highlighting both progress and ongoing challenges. This variability underscores the importance of proactive fleet maintenance and investing in long-term reliability. We are actively analyzing failure trends and implementing solutions to stabilize and improve this critical performance area. To conclude, ridership is growing and exceeding expectations. On-time performance and service delivery remain well above target. Fare collection, we continue to focus our attention and are at or below our goal. And while mechanical reliability has seen some fluctuation, we are focused on consistent long-term improvements. These results reflect a system that is performing well, but not without areas for continued attention. The dedication of our team is evident, and our priorities for the second half of 2025 are clear: sustain reliability, recover lost fare revenue, and continue strengthening the customer experience. Thank you for your time and continued support. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Evan. Any questions? Yes, Jerry.
Okay, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but it's out there. How do you determine a percentage of how many people you missed? Because you missed them.
So those numbers are based on internal audits by the MTA. So those are the numbers that we're reporting on.
Okay, well, I understand sometimes you determine how many riders you have by the weight sensors on the trains, and I was wondering if maybe that's how you did it. You know, fare collected versus how many people you anticipated to be on those trains based on the weights. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, Jerry, as Evan mentioned, it's done by internal auditors, and they have a formula that comes up with the percent.
Thank you. Yes, Chris.
What is the reason for the change in the MDBF from May to June? It dropped significantly.
Sure. So I had a feeling someone would ask that. So May, we were fortunate that some of our fleet outperformed itself. So for example, our M8s, we see high failure rates in our auxiliary power supply and our ATC automatic train control. For the month of May, we saw 1 failure, which led to a 1.3 million mile MDBF for that fleet type. Also, in our M7s back in May, we only had 1 ATC failure, which is our most common failure with that equipment, which was able to get our miles up for that month at 900,000 miles. So I think to answer your question, we had an exceptionally great month for May in our reliability in our fleet.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, Justin, I understand you have 2 more items?
Yes, Chair. 2 other items. The Beacon Station TOD and easement for New Rochelle Yard improvements for Penn Station access are in the book. Happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions? Okay, moving right along then. Long Island Railroad.
Okay, before I turn it over to Eitan for the mid-year operations report, just remind everyone to please look in the book for the upcoming track work. There are some impacts to service, so please check the Train Time app and the website for the most up-to-date information. And also, we'll have a new timetable schedule coming out September 2nd, I believe. So I'll turn it over to Eitan for the operations report.
Thank you, Eitan. Please.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Chair. My name is Eitan Kirshan, and I'm the Senior Director of Strategic Priorities at the Long Island Railroad. My team has conducted a deep dive analysis into service reliability and performance, and I'm going to share a few highlights with you. First, I'd like to mention a few of the key changes the Long Island Railroad has made to drive improvements. Our service planning team made over 80 schedule changes last year alone, focusing on improving on-time performance. Our transportation team is placing increased focus on routing through Jamaica Station, as we've discussed, to maximize throughput, parallel moves, and adjacent track transfers, all of which improve customer flow and experience. We've also implemented a new track outage planning process that enables strategically timed outages to better support state of good repair work while minimizing impact to service. And cross-functional on-time performance committees meet regularly to conduct root cause analysis and devise and implement solutions. So what's the benefit of all this work? Earlier, Rob shared our on-time performance results through June. Those results translate into a 20% reduction in the number of late trains compared to the same period last year, even as we've increased service by 2%. We don't just track whether a train is late, we also look at average delay per late train to ensure we're minimizing the severity of delays. As you can see on this chart, we've seen improvements in each of the last 3 months, with a full minute of improvement in June alone. This next slide shows the distribution of delay minutes among late trains. The orange bars represent the percentage of late trains delayed by the number of minutes shown on the x-axis. The blue line shows the cumulative share. For example, 36% of late trains, more than 1/3 of late trains, are delayed by just 6 or 7 minutes. Now again, this chart includes only late trains, which comprise just 3% of all our trains. Taken together, fewer late trains and shorter delays when they do occur, we've reduced total customer delay time by over 14,600 minutes, or 243 hours, a 20% year-over-year improvement. And with record-breaking ridership this year, that's a lot of time given back to our customers. On-time performance isn't just avoiding lateness. We want all trains to arrive as close as possible to their scheduled arrival times. This next chart looks at the 97% of our trains that arrive on time. That is, trains that arrive to their final destination within 5 minutes and 59 seconds of schedule. It shows the difference between actual arrival time and scheduled arrival time. Year to date, we've improved from 1.64 minutes in 2024 to 1.52 minutes in 2025, a 7% improvement. Across our 27,000 monthly trains, that translates to over 18,000 minutes or 308 hours, another bucket of significant improvement for our customers. This slide also underscores an important point. Although a train is considered on time up to 5 minutes and 59 seconds from schedule, our on-time trains average just 1 minute and 31 seconds behind schedule. We've also made targeted operational changes to help trains depart on time from their origin stations, especially at our eastern terminals. Since the May timetable change, 68% of trains at these locations depart within 1 minute of schedule, up from 51% the 6 weeks prior, a 17-point improvement. And trains that depart within 1 minute of schedule are 18% more likely to be on time at Jamaica and 4% more likely to be on time at their final destination. So everything I've spoken about so far discusses destination on-time performance, but intermediate station performance also matters, and as we've discussed in this meeting, nowhere more than Jamaica Station, where most of our transfers occur. The transfer experience is an extremely important driver of satisfaction with the Long Island Railroad for the roughly 25% of customers who are switching trains, many of them every day. So we set a high bar for ourselves. We started publicly reporting our on-time performance not only at final destination, but also at Jamaica Station. And we defined a late train not at 6 minutes, but at 3 minutes at Jamaica. To pursue this target, last year we formed a cross-departmental working group focused on improving Jamaica on-time performance, starting with the PM peak. In September, the team implemented changes including stop pattern adjustments, runtime redistribution, and track routing modifications. As a result, PM peak OTP at Jamaica improved from 67% to 76% in just 4 months, a 9-point gain. And we've since expanded this effort to the AM peak, which is even more complex due to the convergence of 10 of our eastern branches before Jamaica. As a result, AM peak OTP at Jamaica has improved from 55% in January to 64% last month, a 9-point improvement. And as Tatiana mentioned, these gains are starting to show up in our customer survey data. In the spring customer account survey, satisfaction with the transfer experience was up 4 points to 67%, and we look forward to further improvements. Beyond just Jamaica, we're also seeing improvements at intermediate stations system-wide. We compare actual departure time to scheduled departure time for every stop on every train, and year to date, our median performance is 1.8 minutes, a 10% improvement over last year. And finally, this spring, our signal department optimized several track circuits between Spionk and Montauk. These adjustments allow for smoother transitions between speed zones, enabling trains to run closer to their published timetables. While we're still only partway through the summer schedule, we are already seeing improved alignment with schedules. Spionk to Montauk run times have improved by 1 minute eastbound and over half a minute westbound. Taken together, the improvements in runtime, on-time arrivals, schedule precision, and Jamaica transfer reliability are creating real operational momentum across the Long Island Railroad. We'll continue building on that momentum in pursuit of our core mission, delivering safe, reliable service for our customers, every train, every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Eitan. Any questions? Well, thank you very much for that update. Okay, moving on. Agency financial reports are in the book. And also procurements, I understand there are not any for either of the railroads. So I'm going to do something that I've been dying to do for quite some time. I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Sammy. Do I have a second? By Jim? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all for your patience today. Thanks.